Hey guys, Jack on Wrist here, back with another video. After a short hiatus, I'm back, ready to make a lot of fun videos, starting with today's video where we're going to be reviewing a fake Rolex Explorer. So this watch was sent into the channel by a random company out in Dubai. Now I'm not going to share the name of this company because one, I don't really condone the purchasing and use of fake items, and nor does YouTube. They actually don't allow content creators to promote counterfeit items, so I'm just not going to touch it. If you want to go ahead and get a fake watch, that's up to you, and I think you could figure out where to get one. But this is more for an experiment to see what the quality is like. I personally owned a modern Rolex, so I'm excited to see how this stacks up, if you could really fool somebody and really just get a good look at it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this fake Rolex Explorer. So I wanted to go ahead and share what comes in the packaging. You have an inner box where the watch is in. You have an outer box as well, some papers. You have like the little holder for the warranty card and obviously a warranty card there. So they put some thought into this. Now, I will say I had a Rolex 114200. It was an Air King model, and it did not come in a box like this. So I'm not sure if this is an older box iteration or if they just sort of made it to look like it could be a Rolex box. But they did obviously put some thought into it. It looks pretty professional, but obviously not authentic. All right, so here is the fake Rolex Explorer. I'm very excited to talk about it here today. As I mentioned in the introduction, I previously did own a modern Rolex. It was a Rolex 114200, a Air King model specifically. And so I do have some ground to stand on when talking about the quality of a fake watch versus the real thing, in terms of Rolexes at least. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. My first impressions may be similar to yours. It does look like a Rolex Explorer. Now, there are some obvious signs of it being fake, especially if you get a chance to really hold it in your hand and really feel the quality. But in terms of the exterior and the way it looks, it does look like a Rolex Explorer. I mean, if you saw this on someone's wrist and they're walking down the street and you briefly saw it, you probably would have no reason to believe it is not real. But obviously that isn't the case. And like I said, the devil's in the details, and you really can tell once you get a look at it up close and personal and get to feel it. So going through, talking about what stands out to me with it in my hand today, the first thing I noticed that obviously is a telltale sign of it being fake is the bracelet. Now, again, credit where credit is due. It does look like a Rolex Explorer bracelet. I mean, it has the brushed finish, polish on the sides, the clasp is correct, but it just isn't high quality at all. And of course, right, I mean, it's a $50 fake compared to a $7,000 watch, but it is just far from a high quality bracelet. Forget Rolex, it's just not a nice bracelet. The links are, even though they look solid, they actually, I believe, are hollow. There's a lot of movement on the bracelet, as some would say they're jingly jangly, and they're just not nice. You can see on the side it actually is held in by screws. Those screws, they actually give you a screwdriver to change the size, which I did, and they're just not nice screws. You can just tell they might even be made out of plastic. If you look on the inside of the case here, if you can get a look, it does have the sterile case back, which is accurate. And like I said, anything you can see with your eye looks pretty good, but it just comes down to the quality. You have solid end links here, which is actually accurate to the modern Rolex, and it actually is a pretty nice feature for a fake, I will say. I mean, the bracelet is made perfectly to the case, and it does not move around, but the actual bracelet itself moves around a lot. Moving on to the clasp, again, accurate looking clasp, looks good, brushed finish, polished on the sides, the logo embossed. I mean, it looks like the Rolex bracelet, but again, it just isn't that nice. It's kind of hard to explain what about it is not real, but it's just not hefty. You can see here, there's a lot of wiggle there. The markings on the inside do look pretty good compared to the model I had. But again, they can nail the way it looks, they can nail all the logos, but at the end of the day, it's just not nice. It's not high quality and doesn't feel like this is even, like a real metal. It just feels so light and not what a real modern Rolex, not what the quality is today. And I know my commentary here is pretty obvious, but having had a real Rolex and having this in my hand, it's kind of weird. This looks the part, but doesn't have any of the quality at all. Now moving on, there are a lot of quote unquote good things about this fake. The crown, with the logo there looks good. The dial from a distance looks good. It's really kind of hard to say specifically without the Rolex Explorer in front of me, a real one. But the dial just looks a little off. I'm not sure what you guys think, but to me that Rolex text at the top looks a little off. In terms of the numbers, in terms of the 3, 6, and 9, they don't look that great. I guess they look like the real Rolex Explorer model, but I believe the Rolex Explorer has white gold as sort of a trim for the Arabics, and it just doesn't really pop. It doesn't really look like it's that nice. It's kind of, nitpicky here. It's kind of getting down to small details, but if you had a real Rolex Explorer next to this one, you probably would be able to tell pretty quickly that there are a lot of inconsistencies or things that just don't really look right. But like I said, just briefly taking a look at this, it does look like a Rolex Explorer. The dial seems to be a similar texture to the real thing. And, what can I say? Like I said, it does look like a Rolex Explorer, but it just doesn't have the quality at all. Moving on now to the movement, it actually is an automatic movement. No surprise here, it is not a nice one. The timekeeping has been off by a lot. And is anyone really surprised by that? I don't know if the movement was just bad to begin with or whether it got knocked up in shipping or what, but it is impressive to see, though, that it is an automatic movement. I know seeing some fakes out in the real world on people's wrists, you can easily tell if it's fake, because the ticking, of a quartz module in there, but this does have some form of an automatic movement in the back there. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it is pretty loud. I'm not sure if you hear it spinning at all, but it's just not a nice movement. And again, another thing, the fact that you can move it and hear noise coming from it is just not something that a standard Rolex would have going on. So I know this is pretty basic of a review here, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to all the little details. And I guess if you want a fake watch and you want to fool people, you could go ahead and do that. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I can't stop you. I don't condone it. I don't necessarily respect it that much at all. But if you want to get a fake watch, you could fool somebody for sure. But why do that? At the end of the day, you have a watch that, if someone calls you out, you're going to be embarrassed. And, I'm not trying to speak out of term here, but, to get a Rolex, for example, is not necessarily the craziest of crazy goals in the world. Now, everyone has a different situation. I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but I just personally feel like if it's your goal to get a Rolex Explorer or something like that over the course of your life, I would say it's probably worth it to save up and get the real thing and have that gratification as opposed to getting something fake, having something you can't really stand behind. And, there's just something special about saving up and getting the real thing. Again, I'm not trying to speak out of term here. I know it's kind of crazy to get a watch that's, $10,000. It's not very easy for everybody. But I just personally don't agree with getting a fake watch, especially when there are other great watches out there at lower price points. If you wanted a fake Rolex Explorer, maybe look into the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. That's a watch with history. That's going to be real. That's going to be really, really nice. And you don't need to go ahead and get a Rolex. I know Hamilton isn't Rolex, but this isn't Rolex either. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much it for this video. I'm excited to be back on YouTube after a small break. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And please like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.